morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Monday Night in America here on the NDB Media Network. I'm your host, Roger Noriega. Thank you for joining me. Today is December 2nd. Oh my God, the second day of the last month of 2024. We're here. We just had Thanksgiving for everyone. I hope your Thanksgiving went well. It passed for us. I had time to spend it with the family. And of course, there was a family member, actually, numerous family members that were ill over these last 2 weeks. And we were able to get through 50% of it. There are still some other issues going on. But for the most part, the family is still whole, which is a great thing. But my wish, my hope, and my desires for all of you to have had a wonderful holiday. And we're entering, at least in North America and in many parts of Central and even South America, but in North America, it's getting cold and we are entering winter, which will be, I believe it's on the 23rd or 24th. I forget which day it is, but when the winter solstice arrives, and it will be the first day of winter. And look, I go live, and what happens? Ash has to come on over and put. Do you see him right there? There he is. He's right there. That's Ash. Hey, young man. He is uh, our street cat that we brought him in October of last year, and he's been with us ever since. He was born about a year into us moving in here, and because he wasn't the largest or the biggest cat, he was kicked out. Uh, Bear or osito, kind of like cub or the diminutive of a bear. He was running the brood, and he made sure to keep him out. And of course, Osito was poisoned by one of the neighbors, and shortly after that, Ash kept returning. And in October, it was very cold when he showed up, and I invited him in, and he's been with us ever since. So it's been really cool. So he's right here with me. Uh, Fred, hi, Arc54. Her resident ghost must be watching with me because I'm getting static. Well, might be the fact that it's just cold up there and it's freezing the wires. I don't know. It could very well be. I want to give a shout out to Elizabeth Olivia Cooper. Thank you for the like and the love. And I know Monday Night Football is going on right now, and we'll probably take a look at that right now. Really excited about that. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm not. I haven't watched Monday Night Football in years, quite frankly. Actually, I don't watch very much football. And I suppose if some of my co-hosts were to find that out, they would be very, very irritated. But it's all right. It's a numbers game for me. It's the theory. It's what keeps me in it. Oh, I imagine that's an expletive right there. It's effing tie. But all right. Well, once again, it's December 2nd. I want to give a little shout out to the man right here. They can barely see him. That's him right there. It's him. And he's right here. Let me see if I remove. Let's see if I remove this. Are you able to see him? Yeah, there he is. That's him right there. And he's a big boy. Hi, mijo. Yep. He's a good boy. But I'm glad he's here with me right now. So he's going to be with me while I'm doing the program. And he'll probably be going in with us tonight. So really looking forward to that. 7-7. Oh, I imagine you are, but that's okay. So, folks, we're going to get into it. We've been doing some paranormal stuff over the last few weeks, and we're going to take a break from that today. We're going to get back to the Newsy program that we used to do. And there's an interesting statistic that I came across today. It's, of course, from The Week. It's a magazine, a weekly printed or online magazine that you can get, which I really do appreciate it. It has alternating views from the left, the right, as well as center, and from around the world. So if there's a breaking story, they give what people on the outside are thinking about it too, which is really, really cool. I do appreciate The Week. It's one of my favorite magazines. I think I mentioned to you that I also read Foreign Affairs as well as National Geographic and Popular Mechanics. So we're going to have stuff to talk about over the next few weeks because there's a lot of stuff that happened in 2024, and we're going to be doing the recap of 2024, which is really exciting. We're probably going to be doing some consumer report items as well, but that's upcoming over the next few weeks. And taking a look at everything. Let's see. Wow. Next Wednesday, we will have the professionals, not this Wednesday coming up, because there is a writers panel that will be on at 6 p.m. Pacific time on the network. Check it out. 5 writers from the hit sci-fi series from Electric Entertainment, The Ark, will be on this Wednesday, which is exciting. So the professionals was moved to the second Wednesday of the month. And we're going to be talking about the golden at bat, amongst other things. But let's get to it. The statistic of the day: 20 years. 20 years. What is 20 years? The average life expectancy gap across different U.S. population groups. And this is according to research published in The Lancet. The data collected in 2021 shows life expectancy varies greatly depending on ethnicity, income, and geographic location. In California, for instance, and specifically in Los Angeles, people who live near freeways, and there's so many, suffer from asthma, cancer, and they don't live as long from people who are not close to freeways, among other things. That's just a for example. So there's many things that affect our environment and affect us, but it's up to 20 years. Can you imagine that? That's crazy. But I want to start out. I haven't done one of these in a while. Only in America, folks. This is crazy. A Georgia elementary school suspended a 9-year-old girl for pretending a banana was a gun. The girl's father, Ryan Jakimowicz, says he believes several students were using bananas as guns at lunch. When his daughter picked up her banana and said, "Pew, pew, you're under arrest," Jakimowicz said he initially laughed when school officials told him how his daughter earned a 1-day suspension, but they weren't laughing back. Only in America. A Florida man is suing his real estate broker for failing to disclose that the person buying his house was Jeff Bezos. Toy magnate Leo Chris says if he'd known the billionaire Amazon founder was a prospective buyer of his Miami mansion, he never would have agreed to lower its price from $85 million to $79 million. The broker should pay Chris $6 million, his complaint states, for not passing along this very important fact. I don't know if that's required. Laws vary from state to state, but it's not required. He got schnookered. And hey, it happens often that you ask for the seller to carry some fees, certain things, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The offer was, or the want was 85 million. Someone came back with 79. He dropped 6 million. They sold it. What are you going to do? Get irritated, I suppose. It was a good week for Poise after the pilot of a small aircraft made an emergency landing on the I-25 in Wyoming, tinkered with the engine on the hard shoulder, then took off again. Motorists who stopped to watch said the pilot's name was Steve, and there was something blocking the fuel line. It was also a good week for crate diggers after researchers discovered an unknown work by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in a Leipzig library. The string trio was likely written by a teenage Mozart in the 1760s and is, quote, absolutely beautiful, said a fan who, unquote, said a fan who attended its premiere at the Leipzig Opera. But it was a bad week for social distancing after Dr. Jay Varna, New York City's former COVID czar, admitted to hosting sex parties and to attending a packed underground rave at the height of the pandemic. I take responsibility for not using the best judgment, said Varma. Uh-huh. It was a bad week for liquidity. After a thief smashed a window of a car in Manhattan Beach, California, and made off with what the owner claims was a cardboard box containing $1 million in cash. It's unusual, said a police spokesperson, but I can't give any more details. And it was also a bad week for rodents. After New York City Mayor Eric Adams hosted the inaugural National Urban Rat Summit. I dislike rats, Adams said in opening remarks, urging visitors or visiting officials from Boston, Chicago, and Seattle to, quote, unify against what I consider public enemy number one. Wow. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. This happened over the last week and the last few weeks, and it's under It Must Be True if I read it in the tabloids. A California man puzzled by his high electricity charges finally learned he's been paying his neighbor's bill for as long as 18 years. Ken Wilson of Vacaville bought a device to track his appliance's energy use and cut way down on his use of electricity, but when his bill stayed high, he knew something wasn't right. He called a utility company, and a worker figured out his apartment was linked to the meter for the adjoining unit, possibly since 2006, when Wilson moved in. I just hope the story is going to be something to help others. I can't be the only one. A pair of British nudists spent 6 days riding in the Buff on a tandem bike across England's southwest. Neil Cox, a 36-year-old finance worker, was, quote, worried about a negative reaction. Well, the only thing could be negative is seeing you, pal. Unquote, on the 260-mile ride with his female friend, Jay Antic, who's 25, but found the response overwhelmingly positive. For her, I bet it was. But again, I haven't seen a pic. Oh, actually, maybe I did see it. Yeah, I would give her an overwhelming response. Oof. He notes that Jay is just a friend and that his longtime girlfriend approves. It's not a sexual thing. No, of course not. He decided to ride in the Buff on a tandem bike across southwest Europe or England. You're right. I feel happier and less stressed when I am naked, he says. And it must be true if I read in the tabloids. A Spanish man is offering himself as a professional wedding wrecker for brides with cold feet. So that's not wedding, that's wedding. Sorry. Ernesto Reynades Varela posted an ad offered to spoil couples' big day by objecting and claiming to be the bride's true love. Wow. Then will leave hand in hand. It started as a prank, but he claims it produced a flood of takers willing to spend his fee of 500 euros, which is approximately $550, to escape matrimony. Quote, I have weddings scheduled until December, says Virea, who charges extra if assaulted in the line of duty. Each slap, of course, is worth 50 euros. Wow. Liz, if you're still listening, there you go. How much is a slap worth to you? Now, it should be noted that after decades of declines, gun ownership is now rising among Democrats. In 2022, 29% of Democrats said they had a gun at home, up from 22% in 2010. Concerns about personal safety and a volatile political climate have motivated a group of people who 5 years ago would never have considered buying a gun. And that's from the Wall Street Journal. And U.S. overdose deaths fell 10% from April of 2023 to April of 2024, which is excellent news. And it fell to about 101,000, according to CDC data, the first drop in 5 years. Experts say possible reasons for the drop include increased availability of the anti-overdose drug naloxone, expanded treatment programs, and greater public awareness about the dangers of opioids. Don't do drugs, folks, but I can see why people would do drugs, but no. They're always chasing that high. I know there are drugs out there that when you take it the first time, it's incredibly euphoric, and to get the same effect, you have to do double the dose and then double that and then double that to get to the original high. And I don't remember if that's speed or, I'm no expert when it comes to drugs. I'm not. I have, let's see, hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay, I was knocking on wood right now. And I've never taken any illicit substances. I can say that with a straight face. Didn't even blink my eyes either. So I just didn't know when I said that. That was kind of funny. But oh my God, I'm getting all these emails from Amazon, Dashlane, everything because it's Cyber Monday and the sales are coming to an end right now. I have about less than 6 hours to pull the trigger on some incredible deals. So folks, I got rid of the beard. I had to. It was just, I was detecting life forms in the southeast quadrant engaging with the northwest quadrant. And I think I was on the verge of an all-out nuclear facial Armageddon. So I decided to eradicate everything. And peace reigns. They're just, nothing more is left of them. I've got some quotes for you, and I want to know if you guys know who said it. War is too important to be left to the generals. That's the first one. Well, I never would have thought that, but it's nice to know. Thank you. Never would have known that face to be sexy, but I do feel lighter. I actually do. When I saw the hair, I kind of want to bring it back to life and put it in other places, but that's not possible. Just up here, trust me. I'm very European. If I were Indian or mestizo, wouldn't have any chest hair. I know. Why'd I go there? Because yes, I'm European. Ugh. Very much so. I wish I were. I mean, I am mestizo. I'm like 34 or 36%. I forget the DNA. But when it comes to the chest hair, I'm definitely European and me no likey. Just don't like that aspect of it. We do know that people that come from the mountains, they had more fur. So I'm from Asturias in northern Spain. It makes me Basque. Anyway, that first one was statesman George Clemenceau. French. Happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. Drama is life with the dull bits cut out. There is no royal road to science, and only those who do not dread the fatiguing climb of its steep paths have a chance of gaining its luminous summits. Wow. That's Karl Marx. Karl Marx did that. I would have guessed two of the ones I've already said, but not that one. Drama is life without the dull bits. I mean, with the dull bits cut out. Come on, that's Alfred Hitchcock. And the one about war was Clemenceau. I knew those two. I did not know happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close knit family in another city. George Burns, the comedian. If I would have been reading the poetry more, I would have gotten this one. But see, oh my life, you mean I don't have dull moments? It's all drama. Oh my life, you mean I don't have dull moments? It's all drama. Hmm. That's your quote? You borrowing that from someone else? The truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. I did not know who that was from, but it is one of my favorite poets. And I'm going to do a program on. I purchased the book of poetry. I think I'm going to do a poetry episode in January. And I've been wanting to do poetry for a long time, but I used to write poetry when I was in high school. It's been a long time since I've done that. And I would like to get back to that. I don't know if there's an audience for poetry, but let me know. I would love to know. Emily Dickinson. She is one of my favorite poets of all time. Now, if you know, and I'm way off track, who knows Miniver? Minichivi, the poem by, who is this by? Edwin Arlington Robinson. It's a wonderful poem, and I love this one. Where's the poem itself? I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that one, but here it is. Miniver Cheevy, child of scorn, grew lean while he assailed the seasons. He wept that he was ever born, and he had reasons. Oh, and I used to do that, the haiku. I was actually quite good at that in high school. Miniver loved the days of old when swords were bright and steeds were prancing. The vision of a warrior bold would set him dancing. Miniver sighed for what was not and dreamed and rested from his labors. He dreamed of Thebes and Camelot and Priam's neighbors. Miniver mourned the ripe renown that made so many a name so fragrant. He mourned romance now on the town and art a vagrant. Miniver loved the Medici, albeit he had never seen one. He would have sinned incessantly could he have been one. Miniver cursed the commonplace and eyed a khaki suit with loathing. He missed the medieval grace of iron clothing. Miniver scorned the gold he sought, but sore annoyed was he without it. Miniver thought and thought and thought and thought about it. Miniver Cheevy, born too late, scratched his head and kept on thinking. Miniver coughed and called it fate and kept on drinking. Miniver Cheevy, it is a wonderful poem. Talks about a man who's just drunk, thinking and wishing that he is a man out of place in time and he wished he could be somewhere else. Now, I believe Miniver is what is on the inside of a knight's clothing, if I remember correctly. So if someone in the chat room wants to help me out on that one, I believe that's what Miniver is. It's found on the inside of a knight's medal, dress, uniform, whatever. So it's a cool little poem. I never forgot that one. Miniver Cheevy. I thought it was excellent. So that might be the first official poem starting off, but we'll see. You campaign in poetry, you govern in prose. Knowing the Cro-Magnon that he was, New York Governor Mario Cuomo quoted in MSNBC. I never would have gotten that one. The very serious function of racism is distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again your reason for being. Toni Morrison quoted in the Washington Post. Yeah, never would have gotten that one either. Now, this was before the election. It was a poll watch. Actually, there was two of them. Only 32% of Americans think the job being done by the Secret Service is good to excellent, down from 55% of last year. After two assassination attempts of Donald Trump, the share of people who say that the agency's work is poor has risen from 13 to 36%. Wow, that's crazy. But again, that was before the election. And also, this was right before early November. 72% of Americans think artificial intelligence companies should be more regulated. That we all wanted less government, but that's another argument for the day. 66% want more regulation of the pharmaceutical industry. Yeah, but they're already regulated. But so what does more mean? Another conversation for another day. 60% want more regulation of social media companies. Wait a minute, but what about free speech? So, only 38% support more regulation of the cannabis industry. Oh, that's funny. And Sonia Robles, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate the like that we received from you. Dogs are going crazy next door. I remember reading something about this back in the 90s. I don't know if it was when my first daughter, or I should say, then I apologize for the dogs barking. Morons. Um, if there's a fly about, they just bark. They're morons. Back in the 20s, I don't know if it was for Ariel or for Giselle, but I was reading back then about the efficacy of drugs that we use for, um, you know, what doctors assign to us, and that they're losing their effect because number one, people don't take them as they should be taken. Some have to be taken over 3 days, 3 times a day, over 7 days, 10 days, whatever. When people begin to feel better, they stop taking the medication, and the medication begins to lose its effect. And I remember they were talking about that in the 90s. And now, this is the second time I see in the last 6 years the growing threat of superbugs. Nearly 40 million people could die from antibiotic-resistant infections between now and 2050. That's the conclusion of a landmark new study of what the World Health Organization calls, quote, one of the top global public health and development threats, unquote. The more we use antibiotics to kill bad bacteria, the more chances the bacteria have to evolve resistance, and they've been doing just that. When researchers analyzed 520 million data sets from 204 countries, they found more than 1 million deaths attributable to antibiotic resistance each year between 1990 and 2021. What did I tell you about that? I was reading about this in the 90s. Worse, the number has been rising, and its rise is expected to accelerate. The deaths aren't evenly distributed, of course. The fatality rate over that time fell by over 50% among children under 5, largely thanks to improved vaccination and sanitation programs, but it rose by more than 80% in those ages 70 and older. So far, the two trends have balanced each other out, but the authors say that will change as the global population ages. The largest single jump in mortality rates was seen with the above known as methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, or MRSA, MRSA, I believe. Deaths from MRSA nearly doubled from 57,200 in 1990 to 130,000 in 2021. We need to appropriate attention on new antibiotics and antibiotic stewardship. Lead author Chris Murray from the University of Washington. tells, so that we can address what is really quite a large problem. Yeah. You're speaking my top frustration with ABTS. The resistance is growing. Yeah. Sorry, folks. Hopefully, I didn't cough on air. Chemicals leach into foods as well. Of the 14,000 chemicals used in food processing and packaging, I wonder if that's just the United States, 3,601 leach onto our food and end up in our bodies. This is from a new study. These compounds are found in plastic wraps, coated paper, and hard plastics. Many of them are harmful, including metals, volatile organic compounds, PFAS. I'm not familiar with this word. Phthalates? PHTHALATES. I am not. In the last 17 years that I've been on air, I've only said that about 2 or 3 times. I don't even recall the other 2. Or I've said, I don't know the word. I'm going to have to look that one up. You know what? Let's look that one up right now. So I can get back to my story. PHTHALATES. Phthalate. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I am familiar with the word, but I don't know what it is. A phthalate. Ooh, pithalate. It's a phthalate. Okay, I've heard of the word phthalates. I think I had it in biology too, science. So anyway, phthalates it's chemistry, plural noun phthalates, a salt or ester of phthalic acid. Oh my gosh, I should have known. Phthalates. Okay, anyway. And some can disrupt hormones or can cause cancer. Foods kept in small plastic containers, such as single serve salad dressing or soy sauce packets, are most likely to absorb chemicals. Yes, I understand that water bottles that sit for a little while and even sit in the sun, the water starts to absorb the plastic material. That's why I refuse to buy bottled water, among other things. I think that's the greatest con on America is the need to buy bottled water. I mean, look, I've had, I've had water from the faucet and from the hose my entire life. I'm fine. You have no idea how much I preached to my patients when I was working. MRSA has now turned into VRE, and now it's hard to treat, and it's Vanco resistant. I believe Vanco is an antibiotic, correct? What is V? Oh, very resistant. Yes. Yeah, that's right. VRE. I know a little bit. I read. So high temperatures. Oh, look what I just. Oh my God! You see, I know this stuff even before I read it. Sorry, folks. I am smarter. I didn't realize that it really came across as a jackass on Sports Talk with the guys, though. I've been told by several people that I come across as a know-it-all. I'm like, well, I do. But I didn't realize that it came across as a stuck-up know-it-all. So I find that terribly amusing. I've been called patrician, aristocratic, and among other things, narrow-minded, stuck-up, half-witted, nerve herder. But actually, I've never been called a nerve herder, but I kid. High temperatures can cause the chemicals to pass from plastic to food more quickly. So scientists recommend microwaving a frozen meal on a plate rather than in the tub it came in. Packaging, which is what we do. It's vancomycin resistant, ABT Vanco for short. Thank you. See, that one I did not know. And thank you for that. We should do a health program. We should. I think that would be great. So, what did you mean? Yes, very smart. I don't know. I didn't mean hate. I don't know, but thank you. Yes, I come across that way. So what's the score? I you know, I could swear, Gridiron Girl, that you and I had perfect weeks before, but since the statement was made that no one else has had a perfect week, like I thought you had a perfect week once before, and I had a perfect week. But I want to remind our sports talk with the guys friends that it's not whether I'm leading right now because it doesn't matter. It's week 13. It means nothing. But yes, I do have a 5-game lead. That's significant. I don't know. I think that is one of the largest spreads there's been. But that's it. I was going to post at the very beginning of Sunday saying that if I win the first 2 games, I will break even. I will not lose any points, meaning I'm up 3. If I win the Steelers game and if I win whatever the other first game was, uh, man, I don't remember who it was. But if I win those first 2 that we went over, it doesn't matter what would happen. I would still be I would be up by 3. But it turns out that I ended up gaining 2 on everyone, which that stunned me. So I'm up by 5, and that yeah, I don't think anyone's had that big of a lead. I don't know what Tony had last year, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So I want to remind everyone that and I'm in the lead right now. Tony won last year, which was, in my opinion, 2023. In 2022, I won, and in 2021, Gridiron Girl won. Remember that, folks. Just remember that. You know, the OGs are the reigning, and we were upset by uh we were upset by Tony. Gridiron Girl and I were caught off guard. Folks, I'm sorry. It's always Gridiron Girl and me. We're always adding to me. Oh my god. It is hilarious over the if you go over the history over these last few years, it's been nasty between us, but it has always been her and I that have been fighting. Yes, Tony gave me a run last season. Well, I don't know what you mean by run. He won. So you gave him a run. Actually, it was both of you, right? You guys did very well. You guys finished what, first and second, which was excellent. The newcomers, which was absolutely exciting. So, but you've got some very good pickers out here. And Gridiron Girl, she's the one I look. I'm sorry. I love Tony and all, and you too, Gridiron Girl. Sorry. Well, yeah, you too, Gridiron Girl. But Elizabeth, I respect you guys. I admire you guys, but we've been doing this for a long time. And I'm always in the high 60s. So's Gridiron Girl. And we're damn good at what we do. We've joked about it that too bad we don't bet money on it because if we did, we'd probably be able to. I've always been close to 67, 68%. I am now over 70% this year, which I believe is a high. But I'm always in the high 60s, as is Gridiron Girl. Gridiron Girl, every year, she and I are right there. That's why I love when. Well, anyway, we'll leave it at that. She is the only one that I fear when it comes to picking, and she knows it. So, and I look forward to it. I mean, it gets nasty between us. It gets nasty. I mean, that thing about being accused of being a cheater, I haven't let that go, man. So, but anyway. Oh yeah, okay. Yep, you're playing smart. I was rolling the dice trying to get up on you, but oh well. Look, this even if I lose this final game, which I guess 4 of us, or how many of us are perfect? Is it 3 of us or 4 of us? What could you do? 15-1. Let's just say I end 15-1. You had to have picked that one game, and that would be tonight. That it's nothing you can do with that. We all do that. We make selective picks. We go for some long shots. Tony did the same thing as Big Dog and you. And I look, I'm not kidding. I was only hoping for the first two games because I looked at the way we all picked, and I'm talking about Sunday's games. Had I won just the first two Sunday games, I'd still be up 3 if the worst case would have happened because of the way everyone was picking. So that's why I was like, I was going to post it, but then I said, no, because I don't like doing that stuff. I think I'm talking about it too much already as it is because I don't like talking about it. Do I want to win? Bet damn right. Yeah, we've never had anyone go perfect. 2 people perfect. We've had 2 that have gone 15-1. That's not a strange thing. Or 14-2, whatever. And then when you have short weeks, I mean, look, whoever went 14-0, that was only 7 games, or it was only 14 games. This is 16. This is bigger. But anyway. We need to keep thinking about the constructive ways forward on how we can ensure the safety of these materials. Jane Monkey tells the Washington Post. What worries me a lot is what is not happening. And yeah. Ooh. Okay. No one deserves anything. So she's trying to get under my skin right now. Way to go, Gridiron Girl. Thank you. That's funny. You deserve it, Scarlet. Hija de su madre. Wow. Okay. I do appreciate that. Okay, I talked about those 2, and I have a few other items. Let me see. Forgive me. I had some other notes, but some of them are dated already, and I really didn't want to talk about those because they're older. As you know, I collect information weekly. That's what I've always done. And then I used to bring it to Monday Night America, and that's the type of program that you're watching now is what I used to do for years. So I think I've run across. I mean, I have 2 other stories that I might want to get. The galaxy spanning plasma streams. I'm going to talk about that next week. And the scent linked to, actually, I'm going to do that one right now. This is a new study that is within the last 2 months. The scent linked to early puberty. Girls are going through puberty an average of 6 months earlier than they did in the 1960s. A small but growing number get their first period by age 9, which can increase the risk of breast cancer, diabetes, and heart disease later in life. Now researchers think they found a possible reason for the early onset. And this was from NBCnews.com. Musk ambrate, a synthetic form of musk fragrance found in cheap perfumes, may send a signal to the brain that triggers the process early. The researchers combed through 10,000 chemical compounds to see how they affected the brain. They found several that might influence the timing of puberty, but the only one children were regularly exposed to was musk ambrate, which is used in everyday products including cosmetics, soaps, and even some artificially flavored foods. Wow. When the researchers tested the compound on human cells, they found that it triggered the release of capital G, small n, capital RH, a hormone linked to the start of puberty. Co-author Natalie Shaw from the National Institute of Environmental Health Services says that while more research is needed to confirm the link, parents may want to avoid products containing the compound. Musk ambrate is already banned in cosmetics in the EU and Canada. Oh, no. No, that wasn't made to make me. That was to get. No, No one deserves anything except for maybe your dog that walks perimeter. You have to earn it. There have been moments, and I think Gridiron Girl remembers that, yeah, there are certain players that have deserved a particular thing, but you have to earn it. No one deserves it. The lamest line I hear in sports is, well, you've won too much. You should let someone else win. That's not the way things are. You have to earn it. You have to go out there and win it. So I resent the word deserve. That's why when she says, no worries, you deserve it, Scorekeeper, she's trying to get under my skin. And that's good. I like it. I actually do appreciate that. Trying hormones injection into the foods is what's helping cause it. Well, there is science for that. So now I wanted to talk about a few other items which people are starting to have. A tariff. What's a tariff? Wow, for us econ majors, the question is, what is a tariff? Now, if you know a little bit of your history, many people believe that the use of tariffs between nations is what led to, if not caused, the Great Depression. But, oh my goodness, I almost did a presidential thing. Whoa! Or at least a president-elect act theme, the way he does things. But anyway, woohoo, that's crazy. First of all, there are two kinds of tariffs. Okay. A tariff, simply put, is a tax levied on an imported good. Exported is what the nation of the United States sends out. Import is what you bring in. So the only way you can have a tariff is on what comes in. Okay. Because you don't want to put a tariff on what goes out, because that means you're putting up the price of your product. That's stupid. So tariffs work. Now, the other country can do it on your stuff, you're exported, which for them is imported. Yeah. And that's what we're talking about, tit for tat tariffs right now. But it's a tax levied on an imported good. And there are two types. A unit or specific tariff is a tax levied as a fixed charge for each unit of a good that is imported. For instance, $300 per ton of imported steel. An Latin ad valorem tariff is levied as a proportion of the value of imported goods. An example is a 20% tariff on imported automobiles. Both tariffs act in a similar manner. Tariffs are one of the oldest trade policy instruments, with their use dating back to at least the 18th century. That means the 1700s. Historically, the main objective of a tariff was to raise revenue. In fact, before ratifying the 16th Amendment in 1913 and formally certifying the income tax, the U.S. government raised most of its revenue from tariffs. Even so, the main purpose of a tariff these days tends to be about protecting particular domestic industries from foreign competition alongside raising revenue. Meaning, if my industry that I want to protect for strategic reasons, and the cat's going to get all over my computer right now. If I want to protect an industry such as my soybean industry, if someone wants to sell me soybeans, I put a tariff of whatever, 10%, 20%, 30%. That will protect my industry, because my industry in the United States would obviously be selling at less of a price. If I can sell my soybeans at $1 a bean, but soybeans coming in from Ukraine are coming in at 33 cents a bean, well, I want to protect. I would at minimum put a 66%. No, that's wrong. If it's 33%, I want to add a tariff to get it up to $1 at least. So I would probably put a 300% tariff, because 100% is 33 cents. That takes it to 66 cents. So 200% would be a dollar something. That protects my industry. That's what tariffs do. And when the president elect is talking about putting tariffs, we buy many products that are no longer manufactured here in the United States. So when this item comes in, the United States is going to put a 20% tariff or 25%. The price is going to go up about 25%. Who's going to pay for it? The nation that's sending the product over? No. We're going to pay for it because we're importing it. Duh. And now people are getting all hot and bothered because, like, oh, you mean he's really going to do that? First of all, they don't understand what a tariff is. And second, oh, you mean he's really going to do it? Now, we have free trade agreements with Canada and Mexico. And this guy is talking about putting tariffs on this is going to get wild. So it's going to go to the courts. Now, there's a way for them to resolve disputes in NAFTA or MCAS or USCM or USMC, whatever. There's a way to resolve, but it's going to go to the courts. And these aren't courts that are normally part of our system. They're courts designed for these treaties only. So it might be extrajudicial. There's the word of the day, extrajudicial. So this could kill trade, and it could slow down economies, and it could have broad ramifications for the world if we get into a tariff war. And don't get me wrong, as someone who not 20 years ago was fighting, I believe that the United States does not need to compete with anyone. We are the greatest economy in the world. In the 1980s, for a lot of you people, and now I'm really getting into the weeds right now, and this is something that I do. Guys, I studied, and I still do. Economics is another thing. Political science. I studied in college political science, economics, geography, and then I took the tangential run down to geology. Oh, the very height of perversion. History. And then with geography, I also got into cultural geography, which led me to geology. Those are nothing about math, nothing about science, other than geography. That's what I studied my entire life. And economics is something that I do to this day. So anyway, what was I going to say? Obviously, my skill at memory. Oh, boy. The United States is the strongest economy in the world. In the 1980s, the thing with Japan, to buy Japanese, number one, it was a hatred against Japan, and you want to buy American because the money was going overseas. What did Japan do? Japan opened factories here in the United States and put Americans to work. Instead of importing all their cars, they started making them here. They put Americans to work. That's awesome. Build your product here. Everyone wins. You still have a great product, but it's made here as opposed to where it's made at home, where it's cheaper. And you bring it over here and you kill our industry. If Japan came over here and built this stuff. And look, Michael, a classmate of mine, Michael, you arrogant, stupid prick. Let me tell you. His line is, well, the emperor of Japan is the one getting rich. Dude, you have trade already. And the best of both worlds is they coming over here, being every country and building it here. China, whatever product they have, why do we have to compete when they're earning $1 a day? Now, that's an exaggeration, but you know what I'm talking about. There's no way that the American worker can compete with. Have them build it over here. Put Americans to work. Well, that's called protectionism. And that's also like tariffs and stuff like that. I have been a believer in tariffs, and I understand all about the Great Depression. Yes, but it's about survival in your country. I am an American first. I am a citizen of the Federation second. So maybe I can get into that next time into some more of the economics. But folks, tariffs are more likely going to happen. That means the costs for all of us are going to go up because when the products are imported, toothpaste, plastic boxes for storage, there's going to be a 25% tariff on that stuff. So whatever you're paying for it now, it's going to be 25% more. Where's that money going to go? To the U.S. And it's going to go into the general fund where it's going to be spent. And I'm going to have to talk about that later. I had that information. I just don't want to go over an hour today. But I am going to talk about the budget, where our money is going, how much we pay. I had the information. Total revenue 4.47 trillion, how much we're spending 6.16 trillion, and how much everything went to whatever. But hi Aisha, thank you for the like. Hope everything's going well for you right now. And I was going to talk about that a little bit, but I did get sidetracked. Next week, or not next week, I think I'm going to do another paranormal program next week. But the week after, as I do my State of the Union or the end of year, it's coming up. I'm going to try to work that stuff in there about the economy and what are we doing with our money. And when you hear Social Security, folks, we paid into it. And when you hear predominantly Republicans saying that it's an entitlement, that is absolutely wrong. The very same Republican that is saying Social Security is an entitlement spent your Social Security money already. The very same bastards that call it an entitlement already spent your trust funds. You have to know this. You have to answer them back. And that's what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks, talking about that. That's why I've told you, folks, when it comes to politicians, Democrat, Independent, Republican, Green, Peace and Freedom, whatever, they're politicians. They're looking out for themselves. They're certainly not looking out for us. We have to hold them. We have to hold their feet to the fire. We have to hold. But the way it works in America is you vote for me, I'll fight for you. And that's it. It ends. Everyone goes away. I'm going to talk about that more, politics as I used to, and the economy, probably in 2 weeks. And we're going to be talking about entitlements. You need to know. You need to know what I know. In the meantime, folks, head on over to ndbmedia.net. Check out everything that's going on. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Elizabeth, and everyone else who joined me. Appreciate it. Don't forget, we're switching to 7 p.m. in January. See ya.